add the link to the top, and I'm going to grab it from my personal YouTube. And if you ever find me on YouTube, I added all of my YouTube channels because, but I only use one. I only use one right now, and I do want to make sure that you can see this. Oh, wow. Let me grab it because now it's going to be weird. YouTube. If you ever find me on YouTube, I added all of my YouTube channels. Oh my, wait, give me a second. Use one. Okay, I'm grabbing it for you. That's so funny because I can hear myself. So if you are, if you're able to do this, if you're driving, please don't. But I am going to use ChatGPT from a teacher or a principal's perspective. Yes, I am live, but I'm not going to do any programming or show you any programming languages, or, you know, for example, I can use it to correct a SQL or SQL structured query language code if I wanted to, but I'm not going to go that deep. I want to make this where it's something that's user friendly and it's something that you can do. And I pay for the plus. I'm in what we call the default in GPT 3.5. There was a 1, there was a 2, there was a 3, there's a 3.5, and there is a 4.0, but the 4.0 is slow, and I don't want to use it right now because I want it to go a little bit faster. But I will say that there are some things that I like about 4.0 that 3.0 or 3.5 doesn't do. Like, it'll take some longer text. That's the biggest one. So if you're an educator, what I recommend that you do is ask it the first question, like, what is ChatGPT? And ask it this, what is ChatGPT? Put, you know, just something as simple as that. And I would stay in the same chat. I would stay in the same chat, and it's going to be very simple, and I'm going to read it to you. It says ChatGPT is a large language model trained by OpenAI based on the GPT 3.5 architecture. It is designed to understand and generate language responses to a wide range of queries and prompts. It is capable of performing a variety of language-related tasks, such as answering questions, generating text, and even carrying on conversations with users in a human-like manner. ChatGPT is a powerful tool for natural language processing and has many potential applications in areas such as customer service, chatbots, and personal assistants. Now, and quite honestly, that's a lot to read. It's like, what? And the first time I read it, I laughed. I was like, okay, I felt like I was translating for myself. Generative. I was like, okay, it generates something, and it's somebody trained it. And I was like, okay, we have some engineers behind the scenes creating this system, and it's transforming and grabbing from a bunch of different resources, other platforms, and pulling all that information and throwing it in as if it was a human grabbing all this information and spitting it out. That was the way that I interpreted it. But I was like, but that's still a lot for teachers and I'm an administrator in a school district. And I think that we're going to have to train pre-service teachers. We're going to have professional development for current teachers, veteran teachers, teachers that don't like anything to do with computers. And the reason why is because if you remember in 94, 95, when Google or any search engine was released, what students started to do was Google information, copy, cut, paste, and we call that plagiarism. And students didn't know what they didn't know, but we blame kids for plagiarism. But we also told them, go research this and then write a paper. That's what they did. We didn't tell them, by the way, if you copy, cut, and paste, or that it's going to have the hyperlinks, the other URLs attached to it, but we got mad at students. So we're going to have to think about how we train teachers in using this. So the first thing I said is repeat this information as if I was a new user at the age of 9. And now it's talking to me. Hello, my name is ChatGPT. I'm a computer program designed to help people answer their questions and have conversations with them. I'm based on a technology called, and it's GPT 3.5, which is a really smart way of teaching computers how to understand human language. Basically, what that means is that I can understand what you're saying and respond in a way that makes sense. So if you have any questions or just want to talk, I'm here to help. Is there anything you'd like to know or chat about? And what I like about that is, ChatGPT or GPT or an artificial intelligence, like a calculator, is only as good as the input or the prompt that we give it. So you can get better at this. The reason why I'm actually saying this is because I think that if we don't allow teachers to play with it and open it up, they won't get better at it. It's kind of like when email came out. It was, you need to email back and forth. And even today, we have teachers that won't check their email. So now we have this new platform and a way of learning and talking and having conversations, and we're going to expect them to just learn it out of nowhere. And there are going to be teachers that we are going to have to, and families and students, we're going to have to provide professional development. And I'm going to say, in my opinion, there are no real experts, but you can be an expert in your arena. So if you are an expert at the university level, in a certain content area, you can use ChatGPT to help organize you a little bit better, or use it in a way that enhances what you're doing. If you are a teacher, a K-12, maybe you are a guest teacher, also called substitute, but I like guest teacher better. Maybe you want to do a lesson and you have no idea how to do this lesson. You're like, I wouldn't even know where to start, but you can ask ChatGPT to write a lesson. So now I'm going to ask ChatGPT to explain how a teacher could use ChatGPT. And it's going, I'm being very, very ambiguous because I want it to give me a list. And I know it's going to give me lists. It usually stops at 5, but this time it stopped at 4. And so it tells me, sure. And it says, this is what it can do. It gives me 4 things. And it says research assistant, practice and assessment, language learning, personalized learning. And it says if students are working on, for the research assistant. And then for practice and assessment, it says teachers could create interactive quizzes or games. And now it's it's giving you a little bit about what it can do for teachers with their students. And it's also giving you language learning. ChatGPT can be used as a language tutor, helping students practice their language skills, because it can do, you can ask it to do phonemic awareness, but what kid can spell phonemic awareness? But you can ask it to put it in terms that kids can understand, and then ask it to use the language of the discipline when you put it in layman's terms. So now with these 4, I'm going to be a little bit more specific now. And I actually have a lot of my prompts in Evernote, but I don't want to go and grab them right now. I want to stay in this platform. So I'm going to type something else, and I'm going to say, be specific with how chat, or just, you could have put GPT, how ChatGPT can help organize the teacher who teaches biology at the high school level. Now, and I'm a biology teacher by trade, and but even though I only taught chem and physics, but anyway, that's a whole nother day. But so it gives me lesson planning ideas. It says, and it gives me again a list. It's 1 through 5 now. Lesson planning. ChatGPT could be used to assist with lesson planning by providing relevant information and resources on biological topics. The teacher could ask ChatGPT for information on a specific topic, or to suggest lesson plans and activities. Grading and feedback. ChatGPT could be used to assist with grading and providing feedback to students. I'm going to stop there for a moment. ChatGPT could be used to assist with grading and providing feedback to students. Now, I do want to preface it with that it can provide feedback, it can grade. It's also not human. It doesn't have an emotional perspective, even though I've argued with ChatGPT, and that's a comedy in itself. But you will need to vet it. If you have a background in chemical science or world history or African American studies, you're going to need to vet it because you're still the expert in that content area. And you're going to need to have that conversation, maybe even with ChatGPT, because I've corrected ChatGPT a few times, and then it will correct itself, so it's learning along with me. And I do like the idea that let me finish the second one. It says the teacher could create prompts for ChatGPT to provide feedback on student work, such as essays or lab reports, or to grade multiple choice quizzes. Most school districts do not have this open up to schools. My school district has, it is open to teachers if they know it's there. We have allowed our coordinator of ed tech to go around and have conversations with teachers to see where they are, what they're thinking, what their conversations are, and how do they feel. And that first conversation is, oh, kids are going to cheat. So, but when we talked about the use cases for it and allowed them to just get out how they felt, they started to think of it as a tool for them. And if we can get them to see it as a tool, they'll get to see it as a tool for students. So number 3, and again, you can see this live, you can see it later because I'll leave it on YouTube. It says organizing materials. ChatGPT could be used to help organize and manage teaching materials such as lecture slides, worksheets, and assignments. The teacher could use ChatGPT to organize and label files or to find specific resources quickly and easily. Like this first time it's told me that one. And every time I ask it, even if I take the same prompt and put it in 5 days later, it seems to be getting smarter. It seems to be figuring out other ways of interacting with me, which I do appreciate. Number 4, student communication. ChatGPT could be used to communicate with students outside of class hours. The teacher could set up a chat bot. Now, ChatGPT, you can ask it to help you create a chat bot after hours. This is fun. The teacher could set up a chat bot the student could use to ask questions about assignments or receive reminders about upcoming deadlines. And I know that for some teachers are like, oh my gosh, that blows my mind. I wouldn't even know where to begin. And this is where I would be using some of our computer science teachers and having the conversation with other teachers to provide PD to create these. You know what? The truth is that the students are going to create them before we are. So those are the conversations you could have with teachers. Like, if I had this available as a teacher in my classroom, I would actually open it up, let students see it, and I would be asking it to, in front of the students, this is your homework assignment. And Yale did this with a group of their own students. A professor did this. I liked this idea. He grabbed the homework assignment. He said, read the homework assignment, write down a list of ideas of what you're thinking about this homework assignment. Then he said, now go into ChatGPT. Now, as a teacher of K-12, if you don't have it, your students don't have access to it, you could say, well, I'm going to throw it into ChatGPT and ask it to give me an outline for this homework assignment. Or I'm going to ask it to actually do the homework assignment. And then I'm going to use it as what I would call an exemplar and say, as an exemplar, what could you do to, I'm going to invite you up. What could you do to have these conversations about this is an exemplar? And what I would like to say, and Barbara, if you do want to come up, you're welcome to just go to your bio, your profile, and click accept invite in there. If not, that's okay. But what I have learned is over the years, I used to take exemplars of research papers, science research topics, and I would keep them. And then I would take some of the previous work of the students that were, because it would be a capstone project, and before they did their scientific or engineering experiment, and I would share them out at the beginning of the school year. And I would ask students to read it, talk about it with a peer, talk about it in a group. What did they think about it? And then we would have a large group discussion. What's wrong with having ChatGPT do the same thing? because we don't just expect students to turn in, well, that's not necessarily true. There are some teachers that expect them to write a paper, they grade it, put a bunch of red marks on it, and then that's their grade, instead of giving them the ability to master what they're writing. Because there is nobody that I know in higher ed, especially all of you that have PhDs, EDDs, master's theses, or any other things that you've had to grapple with. You've written a book. There's no way did you write that first copy the first time. But we do expect students to do that. So why not have ChatGPT to have that conversation? So those are things that we can think about. The other thing is that number 5, personalized learning. ChatGPT could be used to provide personalized learning experiences for students. Now, because I am I use it to get ideas for marketing. Yes, that is huge. That is absolutely huge, Barbara. And I'm so glad you said that, because my sister, who is a professor of social media marketing, I want to say I forget what school. I'm not going to guess. I don't want to say that and be wrong. But in Illinois, one of the things she talks about is ChatGPT helping you organize your marketing, your social media marketing. And just as a note, there are other chatbots out there. Even Canva has in Docs in Canva, it has Magic Write. So it too can do it as well. So the other thing, I'm just going to hit another, I'm going to hit new chat, and you can see on the left side that I have a whole lot of chats going on. And I did look up, like, what's Yoda's race, meaning Yoda in Star Wars. And the truth is that there are some unknown things, but the assumption is that it's the race is Yoda. So that's, or the species. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to create a lesson plan for grade 4, using the structure of matter. I'm going to see if it got smarter. And the next generation science standards. I'm not going to even try to respell that again, even though I know it's misspelled. For grade 4. Let's see. Exploring the properties. It didn't do this 2 weeks ago. It found the physical science 1-1 and physical science 1-2 for grade 4 next generation science standards. Like, drop the mic, because it didn't do that before. It gives you learning objectives. Students will understand, students will be able to use models to describe the atomic composition. Students will be able to analyze and interpret. Now, those are 4 objectives, or I would be breaking those apart. It gives you materials, it gives you procedures, and it gives you 3 activities. Now, honestly, that's a lot. I would say I'm going to ask ChatGPT to create a more specific lesson plan for each objective over 4 weeks. Now, when it's generating this, it's going to be looking at the same information. I'm in the same chat. So it goes into, let's see if we can get there, because it gave a closure. It says, sure, here's a lesson plan. It gives you week 1, understanding the basic structure of matter. Introduction to atoms and molecules. Now, if this is your area of expertise, you're going to be able to make this even better. But this is a great scope and sequence to get a newer teacher started. Now, if you have a product because the standards are the curriculum in the state of California. However, if you have a product, which you call curriculum, you could ask it to find that product and give it the page numbers, maybe not even give it the page numbers, and say, integrate this product curriculum, Pearson or whomever, and to allow students to use it as a resource. And I'm sure it would do it. Now, I can't do that right now because I don't have a book in front of me to even consider. I guess I could come up with it. I have a few, but this is huge. It's like, it gives you week 1, and then it gives you week 2, and gives you bunch of things to do. It goes on to week 3, and I would even ask it to probably give me more. And if you're looking at it online, it says begin the lesson by reviewing what students learned about. It stopped, so I'm going to say continue. And it did. Sometimes it stops when I go up and down and I'm scrolling. So it continued. It literally left off. It kept going where it left off. And these are things that we're not necessarily allowing teachers to grapple with. But if you are an educator and you are really good at ed tech, this is fun for me. I'm having a blast going into ChatGPT and creating lesson plans and giving them away, creating YouTubes. I'm doing the YouTubes to learn YouTube. But ask ChatGPT anything. I asked ChatGPT. So one of my things right now is I'm having fun going to Disneyland. I got what we call a magic key in the state of California. So I have a pass. And I have been researching Disneyland. Like, how much fun is researching Disneyland with ChatGPT? And what I have found is that it's found trilogy books that I have not read before. It's told you the scope of the Star Wars section. It tells you the planet that it's created by. It gives you the history around areas, and because Disneyland isn't just like this amusement park, it really is an experience. And I'm not just saying that. I used to be like, I don't want to go anymore. It's been 40 years since I really went. But I'm in my 50s, and the last time I went, I was 10, and I lived in Illinois. Now that I live here, first time I went since I was 10 years old was February 4th. So there were so many things that I wanted to learn about. So I asked yesterday, and I'm going to show you this. I asked ChatGPT to give me an itinerary, give me the best Disneyland California experience that includes shopping, rides, and food. Consider that I have a 3-day park pass, 2 adults, and we arrive at rope drop. That was a thing. I did not know about rope drop. That means you got there so you could run in and you could get on all the rides before anybody got there. What are the best days of the year to attend, including time of year? Now, it gave me day 1, it gave me day 2, and it gave me day 3. And then it said, in terms of the best time of year to attend, I recommend avoiding peak seasons like summer and holidays. Midweek is the off season, January through February, September through November. Tend to have lower crowds and shorter wait times. However, be sure to check the park's calendar for any special events or refurbishments that may affect your experience. So those are things that, so if you're going on if you're traveling to another country, you can ask ChatGPT. Yes, I would go and vet it and go do some more research, go back to the predated stuff like search engines, not this search engine. That can give you more information. This, again, GPT is generating a lot of information where it was programmed, pre-trained to transform something so you can have a conversation with it. And that's the thing that I love about ChatGPT. So there's so many things, one thing that I will say, if you do have small children, I'm going to go into a new chat. You say their homework assignment, you can say create. Let's say they're in grade 2. I'm going to say grade 1 for this one. Create a mathematics. I like the term mathematics because I feel like math is slang. Create a mathematics assessment using 2-digit integers, numbers, for addition and subtraction for grade 1 for a grade 1 student. I'm going to say, my daughter needs help studying. Allow her to interact with you during the assessment. Now I'm going to even say, if she gets it wrong, provide information to support her in learning. Don't just give the answer. Now I've spelled some things wrong, but I'm going to go for it. Let's do it. So sure, here it is. It's given, oh, there's a whole lot. Like now we're making me really work. Like it's like real 2-digit, like I'm gonna have to use my calculator and cheat kind of 2 digits. Okay, so check this out. It says, sure, here's a simple assessment for your grade 1 daughter to practice addition and subtraction with 2-digit integers. And it says 1 through 10. I like the 10. I like that it's short. I like that it's quick. Because typically an assessment should be 5 to 10, or maybe even 3. You can see whether or not a child can answer it. And then then it says, as your daughter works through the assessment, you can provide her guidance and support to help her understand the concepts involved. Now, this is not necessarily what I wanted, but let's see what it says more. For example, if she struggles with question 1, you might ask her to count. Oh, it's giving me instructions to help her. I wasn't clear. You might ask her to count out the number of dots on 2 groups of 10 frames. Okay, so we're talking about using strategies like manipulatives, but using paper maybe. 1 with 2 dots, 1 with 1 dot. Show her 23 plus 12 equals 35. Similarly, if she has difficulty with question 2, you could. Okay, so I want you, GPT, to tutor her. I can't help her. Let me see. Please allow her to answer each question and give her feedback. Let me see if it will say. Okay, of course. It says, of course, I will be happy to assist. Please ask your daughter to answer the question and I will provide feedback for each one. Okay, so number 1 says 23 and 12. So let's do it. So we know that 23 and 12 is 35. Now my glasses. So I'm going to put number 1 is, I'm going to actually say the sum of number 1 is 35. See what it says. I have to scroll, okay. Great job. Oh, it's being nice to me, like giving me like encouragement. That's correct. 23 and 12 equals 35. Keep up the good work. Let's move on to question 2. I'm going to say repeat question. This time I'm going to see, now I would have to scroll to go to question 2. So I'm going to actually ask it. I'm going to make it smarter. Repeat questions. State next math problem if I get it correct. I should say when I get it correct. Sure, I can do that. So now it's stating what is 54 take away 28. Now, I kind of want to get this wrong to see what's going to happen. And so I'm going to say, instead of giving it the correct answer, I'm going to actually say 13. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to say the sum of number 2 is 13. Let's see what it says. I'm sorry, but the answer 13 is incorrect. The correct answer is 54 take away 28 is 26. Let's work through the problem together. Oh, it's doing what I'm asking. To find the answer, we need to subtract 28 from 54. One way to do this is to use a number line or count backwards. We could start at 54 and count backwards to 28 units, which would take us to the number 26. Let's try the next question. So the next question is 46. Now I'm not going to go through them all. I might go through them all separately on another day just because I want to see what will happen and see if it will continue. But this is a way for you as a parent. Here's one. If they have calculus, If they have physics, if they have chemistry, if they have world history and they had to write a performance task or answer a long capstone project, you could write your paper in Word, copy it, throw it into ChatGPT and say, please, not necessarily edit it. This is where you could have it edited if you were writing a chapter somewhere. And welcome if you're coming in, and I am live on YouTube, but you could have it edit the workbook, or you could say, please provide me feedback on my whatever paper. And you could teach students how to do this so that they can learn. I think ChatGPT is a way for me to learn exponentially, because I asked it some things to help me, like I said, to help me navigate Disneyland. Because the first 6 days that I went, because I've gone 6 times, no, maybe 5 times, no, 6 times. The first day that I went, I had a group of people that have had what we call magic keys or passes for the last 30 years. Like, this is their thing. So I was able to do everything quickly because of them, but I felt like a fish out of water. So I asked ChatGPT to help me understand what each one of the experiences, like Pixar or Star Wars, which was called, I didn't know it was called Galaxy's Edge. I didn't know that each ride wasn't called like the Millennium Falcon. That's not what it's called. It's called Smuggler's Run. I did not know that the Rise of the Resistance was part of a trilogy, and that the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is on the planet Batu, and it has species, and it's not in a saga for Star Wars, but it's in a book. So those are things that ChatGPT was able to help me with. Now, of course, that might not be your thing, but your thing might be traveling. It might be, what can I do to allow my own child to have fun? How can I learn a video game quickly so that I can engage with my child? And then how can I engage my child to go on walks or move more? What is the best way? Here's my favorite, because I had to Google this and I YouTubed it. I'm going to call it guest coached my daughter's 10-year-old soccer game once. She's now 20. And I went on YouTube to figure out how to coach this game because the coach couldn't be there. And I was able to find physics pages on how they needed to shoot. I'm still struggling. It took me a while to understand that shooting a basketball and shooting a soccer ball, the term I couldn't grapple with it because I was like, I'm kicking it. But no, it's called shooting. And I learned so much. And I actually taught all of the players that when you're shooting for a goal, which was so much fun, when you're shooting for a goal, don't look up. Because if you do, when you shoot, it's going to go over the net. And they won that game. And I was like, what? Like, it was so much fun. So with that, I know I'm on YouTube. I am going to actually stop sharing so that I can end my YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I'm inspired. Please stay on Clubhouse if you're there, because I want to kind of bring some of you up to have a conversation. And I look forward to chatting with you. Please go ahead and make sure you subscribe and like the other videos and watch those too. So thank you so much. And I look forward to sharing